Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to KHM Today, your weekly resource for industry news and straight up fun. I'm your host, Carolyn Orff, and I am so excited to be here with you today on January 11th, 2023. You guys, I usually have my script going, and it is so filled with additional notes because, wow, there's so much going on at the last minute. So, just a couple of things before we get started and straight into our fantastic guest today. But we all know the FAA had some issues this morning. So flights have been delayed, some have been canceled. So make sure that you are checking and making sure that those valued clients of yours that are traveling today are on time, or at least know that they're a little bit delayed. That's not a fun surprise when you show up at the airport. So be proactive there. But it looks like we're no longer grounded. Things are moving in the right direction. So that's great news. Also, today is National Clean Off Your Desk Day. So I have been, if I turned these cameras around and you saw what my basement looked like, I've been doing more than cleaning off my desk. I have been cleaning out every closet, every box, every bin that I have in my house. So trying to take the opportunity in 2023 to get more organized, have a clean space in my head so that I can be more organized for my family, for myself, and of course, for my clients. So I hope that you guys are out there as well, organizing yourselves and starting to put some of those good habits into practice as we embark on 2023. So if you have any fantastic tips or you're organizing, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'd love to hear what you guys are up to. So many things are happening, so many fun things, but I want to share just a couple of things. I know there are agents throughout KHM that we've got agents listening that are with KHM and those that are not, but I want to give you a few things. Number one, if you're an agent or not, there is a fantastic new session video in our YouTube channel on selling and visiting and experiencing Alaska. It's with Bill Coyle, our VP of agent engagement, and Carolyn Sakarik from our marketing department. It is really fun. It's really interesting. And so take a look at that. That's open to everyone on our KHM YouTube channel. And then for those of you that are with KHM, on that same community tab, there is a poll for you to take if you're attending Crystal Conference in just a few weeks. So go in there and take a look at everything that it has to offer. But there are so many cool things and so many fun videos on that YouTube channel, not just KHM Today. And there's resources for every agent out there. And we welcome you to utilize that. Also this week, for those of you attending Crystal, on the Facebook page, we start our takeover event. So Norwegian Cruise Line will be the first supplier. It'll be tomorrow at 1 p.m. Bridget and Chantel from Supplier Relations will be hosting that takeover event. So tune in, and it will be on the Crystal Conference Facebook page. So make sure you're a part of that if you aren't already. Okay, I'm so glad. Yep, Dee, how are you? Happy New Year. It's National Clean Off Your Desk. And yep, everyone gets a pass if you didn't know. It's kind of like, I think yesterday was like corn dog day or something. If you didn't eat a corn dog, you're still good. Good to see you, Robin, and good to see you, Jenny. I hope you guys are great and having a wonderful start to the new year. Denise is on. Oh, Lord, you're talking zones. You're the home edit right there, Denise. All right, you guys, let's go ahead. One way to get organized in your new year is to educate yourself and get all of your ducks in a row. So I'm geeking out a little bit because I love all things education that help agents and are really, really good at understanding the industry and the ins and outs. And I think that ALGV has put into place an amazing program. It's called ALGV Pro, and it is really fantastic. So please welcome Ben Recob, Senior Manager for Education and Implementation for ALGV, and our brand new Business Development Manager, Jennifer Llewellyn, also from ALGV. Welcome to you both. Thanks for being here.
Hi, thank you so much for having us.
Appreciate it.
So I'm going to surprise you both a little bit because I didn't tell you this in our pre-show email, but we're going to do a little, Jen's like, oh, Lord, here it comes.
We're good.
Wait a second. I always forget to do this, but it is a show favorite. Do you guys mind doing a little bit of a lightning round of questions?
Oh, fire away. That
All
sounds
right.
amazing.
So I'll say your name first before you give the before I give you the question, and then you're just going to give the quickest answer that you have. All right.
Okay.
Jen, we'll start with you.
All right.
Texting or talking?
Talking.
Ben, favorite day of the week?
Friday.
Jen, favorite city in the U.S. besides the one you live in?
Ooh, Boston.
Nickname your parents call you, Ben?
Benny Benny Boom Boom.
Would you rather be speak every language in the world or be able to talk to animals, Jen?
Ooh, oh, that's really hard. I guess I'm gonna
Think
have
about
to
your
say
profession.
I know. I would say every language in the world. Yes, that would be probably the most useful. But I
And
do love
Ben,
my animals.
right. And then what's the last song you downloaded?
Oh, Mac Miller. Best day ever.
Very good. See, that wasn't so hard. Well done. And you guys did it fast.
That was
Sometimes
great.
sometimes people spend a lot of time pondering, like, ooh, what should I say? And there's no right answer.
Right.
All right. Oh, this is a new one that I haven't seen. Let's do this one before we shift gears. And to both of you, Taylor Swift is blank.
Go ahead.
Oh gosh, Taylor Swift is I would say you know what, is making waves.
There we go. That's a good one.
Is making things difficult for Ticketmaster.
Yes.
Or actually, Ticketmaster's making things difficult for her. I should rephrase that. That's very fair.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's another industry that's just nuts right now. Well, I'm so glad you're here, Ben. We're going to start talking about ALGV Pro because I think it was this thing that was so needed for so many years, and I think there were different elements of it throughout the Vax website for years. And this really brought all of those pieces together. So where did this kind of come from, or is that where it came from?
I think it came from you. I mean, it came from the host, and I would say specifically KHM was something that we modeled this after. We knew that there were a lot of ICs that needed knowledge, needed it right away, wanted to not only learn how to DIY and do things that they didn't have to call in for, but also tell you the things that you should be calling in for, because we're always going to be available. But then if you're going to use this, like, how should you be using us? And really, you know, when you're getting awesome commission on all 6 of our brands and you can be using that, like, where should you be going for what? And what are things that maybe you're leaving off the table that could be adding to your bottom line? So to create something like that, that really just shows our value and shows that we are the #1 tour operator in the world, coming up with a specialist program was definitely #1 on our list from an education side. And since I had our education team, that was,
Well, and I think one of the things that I really appreciated, like I mentioned before the show opened, was that I've been doing this for 15 years. And based on where I'm located in Denver, ALG brands are really my go-to because of the gateway cities, the city that I'm in, and majority of my clientele. And one of the things that I think was so interesting and is so important is that it's great for those that are new because it's broken down into so many different sections and it's little snippets at a time. So it's really manageable and it gives you time to digest it. And the videos are so short that it's like, oh, if I have to watch that again because I didn't get it the first time, you're just watching, 8 minutes.
Yeah, you nailed it. Bite-sized videos, things that you can take in really quick. And then if you've ever done a training with us before, I love the Ben Franklin quote. He says, tell me and I forget, show me and I learn, involve me and I remember. And that was literally why we wanted to do this whole program. Is we don't want to show PowerPoint slides. We don't want to just put text on the screen. We want to show the booking engine and showing the mouse moving around and clicking on these items and going to these things in Vax that, we got a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things within Vax. So to create an all-encompassing program was, So I think the way that we train, it worked out.
Well, and it's amazing for that newer agent because of what I just said. But for someone who's a little bit more experienced, I loved it because it has changed in 15 years. It has more capability. And, I constantly say I'm a one-trick pony, right? I do things a certain way because I have a rhythm and that's it. And what I loved was watching some pieces and going, "Oh, I can do this. Oh my gosh, I don't have to call in for that." And, I kind of wrote myself a little note. I can do this, this, and this now. I don't have to call it in. It's right here. And it was a big wow factor. And I think so many of us that have been in this for a while, we're so used to what we can do, we forget that things improve, and we need to retrain ourselves as well. We need to get those updates, and that's what I really appreciated most about this program.
Yeah.
You've obviously seen or heard great feedback. How many?
Yeah, we launched on October 5th. So we're about 3 months in, a little over 3 months. And we've had over 6,000 advisors registered to just take it. And then we've had about 2,500 actually earn certification. And kind of going back to what you were saying on, whether you've been booking us for years or you're just getting started today, we got really crucial feedback when we were building this that advisors wanted 2 options. One, you have a recommended path where you can take all 5 modules. And that would be like if you're brand new and you're just getting started, you don't know who we are as a tour operator, you don't know how to use our brands, you don't know what our brands are even about. There's that option of you to take all 5 modules. Or like you, Carolyn, you can go in and test out. And then now if you answer 30 questions, you will skip past those first 3 more introductory modules, which I still recommend you take.
I did.
But then it goes back to that whole, like the last 2 modules, that is everything that as I've said before, you don't know what you don't know. So whether it's, making a modification on an existing package, doing a pre-post cruise, doing an open job booking, doing multi-origin, multi-destination, those are the things we really wanted to make sure that everybody took, because those are what we're getting the most calls on.
Yep.
And if you just don't know that you can do those in VAX and you're calling in every time, that's not your fault. So we needed to build a program that shows you that you can be doing these things. So it's nice to have options.
Yes. So a couple things that I learned. Well, it was confirmed to me. Number one, and when I heard this, I actually went back and to make sure I heard it again. Middle names are not required. Now, I have never heard someone actually say that in a place that I could go back and hear it again and say, but you told me.
Yep.
Because I think everyone's afraid. So what I learned was middle name's not necessary, but if you put it in, it better be right.
Correct. So, yes, that's a great way of putting it. And I've never, I sat next to during travel when I first started my career that was back in 2013. I never heard anybody get stopped at TSA saying, there is no middle name here. The only thing they get stopped by is if, it was the wrong name or just an initial or something like that. So that's why we always say, just don't put them in at all.
Yep, don't put it in. And then the number of times that agents put on our personal Facebook group, it's smashed together. Is that going to be a problem? And, that comes up, I think, weekly. And it's just the system. It's not a problem. But the way to solve that problem is not to put it in. So I loved hearing that. And I loved the multi-origin. That was and to actually see the steps. I loved that. And also with that same process, how to print off the PDF so it looks normal.
Yep.
Because so many times when you do that and you've called it in, it still looks so just disjointed. And you're like, how do I send this to the client so it makes sense? And there it was on the screen. So I'm telling you, can you hear my elation at some
I love it. And a lot of these things happened like right before COVID, and we came out with these things, and then they kind of got put. Yes. The awareness wasn't as high because we came out with the enhancement, and then COVID hit, and that was where
no one needed it.
So multi-origin especially, we launched that in January of 2020, I think, and then it kind of just didn't get picked up really. So this is another way to show you how to do these things and not tell you how to do them. Which is really nice.
Yeah. So Jenny's asking, no middle names anywhere, Jenny. Domestic or international. Doesn't matter. So that's fantastic. Okay, so let's switch gears just a little bit and bring Jennifer in. She's our brand new business development manager. So Jennifer, have you worked your way through ALGV Pro?
I have. Yes, I did finish ALGV Pro. And I agree with you. Some of the things, on there. I mean, I started in the industry as a travel agent, so, I'm familiar with booking systems, but what I found really interesting is I loved how you know, you could really tailor your search to look for like ENVFs. I like that, the program shows you how to send payment reminders or payment
Mhm.
requests. Like there's just so many, like besides all the booking capabilities, just all the tools to make everything easier and smoother for the agents, I think
Mhm.
it's really cool. It's good to
Well,
go
and
over.
one of the things that kind of had my head, kind of rethinking my process is
Mhm.
for those of us that travel a lot and we worry about those payments
Mhm.
working well for clients and, oh my gosh, they really don't want the payment to go through a day earlier. They really want it on this date, but I don't want to carry stuff with me. To be able, I never usually use the link. I make the payment myself.
Mhm.
But I kind of was reintroduced to the idea and the mindset of this could be something that would work for you in the event that you were traveling and you wanted a secure way for the client to have to do
Yeah,
it. They would
absolutely.
have to do it. And, again, that's a little bit of training, and conversation with the client. But for the first time, I thought, that that's a good option. And it's one that I've kind of dismissed in the past that I need to revisit and think about how could this work in the event that I am traveling.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. The important thing is the tool is there, right? So it's
yes,
however you want to do it, but we're going to try and make it as seamless for you as possible.
And I love the
exactly.
start and stop with it.
Yeah.
So when we built this whole thing, and shout out to our leadership team, when I went to, many of you know some of these names like Jackie Marks or Scott
Mhm.
Weissman or Sarah Kellerman. We had a vision. We went to them and we said, this is what we want to do. In typical Jackie, Scott, Sarah fashion, they're like, well, if we're going to do it, we need to be the best in the industry. And as usual, Ben, if you have an idea, we welcome that. Just put it on paper. What's the ROI?
Mhm.
If you know Jackie and you've ever spoken to Jackie, education is the top of her
Yes.
list. And they wrote us a really big check to put this together, and we needed to come through and we needed to build it. I love that it's all there, but the LMS component of it, allowing you to start and stop,
Mhm.
allowing to track how long you've been in these modules, quiz questions, not just true, false, and multiple choice, but actual hotspot where it's
Mhm.
like click here if you want to start an ENVF search. Little things like that. We want to make this fun, and we want to make it where you want to come back to it.
Mhm.
There's a lot of specialist programs out there you take and then you're done and you kind of just wipe your hands of it and you're out. No, we want to make sure that going into the next month and the next month, there's more being added in there and adding learning badges and adding to your trophy case. And that's actually really exciting because in February, that's where we're going to launch our supplier curriculum. And
Okay.
that's where Hyatt Inclusive Collection, known formerly as
Mhm.
AMR, AM Resorts, and then Amstar are going to be featured in February. So now, in addition to earning your certification and your elective badges, now you're earning supplier badges where you can learn about those suppliers. And I think that that's really showing your value to your clients, is
Right.
saying that not only am I an expert in an ALGV Pro with this tour operator that you see on the eDocs and you're wondering who FunJet is, but I'm also an expert on Inclusive Collection, who I'm sending you to in July this year. So I love just kind of putting that all together and making sure that it's showing your value too as an advisor.
Well, and I think you brought up a really good point. You have to be an active participant in the process. You can't just listen. You do have to watch. If you don't watch, you're not going to get the quiz questions
Yeah.
correct. You do have to be an active participant. And you're right, there are a lot of programs out there where I can listen and actually, watch TV and send 10 emails at the same time and still manage to complete it and know a little something.
Yep.
You can't do that with this. You do have to pay attention. And you should pay
Sure.
attention.
And don't take
Um,
it all at once. Like
yeah,
just,
yeah. Oh no,
hey,
it
you
took
got
me.
15 minutes today, take a module and then
Yep.
like just go back to something else. Or maybe you're getting started on your first contracted group. Keep in mind when you actually sign up for certification, it takes you in a path of
Mhm.
how to go through that. If you want to skip that path and you want to get right into learning about contracted groups because you're getting started on your first one and it's that quote to contract to dashboard process, if that's the case, go into the learning catalog, and there you can take the group stuff there rather than having to wait to get to it. And then when you complete it, it's going to be checked off your path when you go back. So that's really nice that you don't have to wait.
So Jennifer, with KHM agents, we had an incentive to get it done. I got mine done on December 30th because I
Perfect.
wanted to be in the drawing. But we did a drawing for an agent. So all KHM agents who completed it by the 31st were put into a drawing. We have that name today. Do you
We
want to share it?
do. Yes, so I am happy to say that our winner for that incentive is Cassandra Henderson.
Woohoo! And
Yay!
Cassandra wins a 3-night stay at the Riu Palace Aruba, correct?
Yes, yes, love it. I
Yay!
love Aruba. It's one of my favorite places, so I'm excited for you to go there. So congrats, Cassandra. Thank you for taking ALGV Pro.
Yeah, it really is fantastic. So we're going to switch gears just a little bit. And Ben, I don't know if this is going to be your expertise, but you are welcome to jump in. But
Sure.
Jen, as you know, I feel like every week we just kind of rotate an air issue. It's been Southwest for a while. Today we wake up, it's FAA. So we
Right.
just kind of rotate. Do you have a good plan of attack or some steps that agents should take when we know that this could be a problem? We're trying to be more proactive, or, we don't know that this is going to be a problem. We wake up like today and, you wake up and you realize there's a problem. What steps should agents be taking to help their clients problem solve?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I started in the industry as an agent myself, so I know when there are flight delays or flight cancellations that it can be very stressful. I mean, the important thing is, of course, is to remain calm and focused. I guess it also depends if your clients are already at the airport and it cancels while they're there. Best thing for them to do is have them talk to the airport representatives because they're right there on site. See if they can get them on the next flight going out, or to offer an alternative. If for some reason there's lines or something like that, of course, then you can contact the airline yourself, or you can contact our during travel team as well. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's just there there's those kind of situations that they're always moving, they're always fluid. So
Right.
yeah, usually work directly with the airline or work with our during travel team. They're usually also able to work directly with the airline.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'll just throw in one thing too.
Sure.
And Jennifer, if you want to send that pass along over to Carolyn, and she can use it. But yeah, definitely we do have a guide for during travel
Mhm.
that I think is really great for every single advisor to be going through. And it breaks that down. If your clients are now at the airport and it cancels, if it's before they get to the airport, and it kind of breaks down every one of those scenarios that you go through. Most of the time, your clients at the airport, their flight cancels, they now call you, you now call us, we then call the airline. And I don't want to I don't want to sound like I'm taking shortcuts, but them going to the airline counter is going to be the best way to get that immediate result, because I just said 2 middlemen right in there that they got to go through, and you don't want that. You want to get them on that next flight as fast as possible.
And that's exactly what we need to hear, is those shortcuts. And I know, Jen, before him, we were kind of emailing back and forth. And one thing that agents sometimes do is, who has the number for the BDM?
Right.
You are your business development, your grow, you're not customer care during travel. So really reaching out to you is not the most efficient and productive way to help a client.
Yeah, because also, like, I'm not on all the time, or I might be traveling for work or something like that. So of course, I always want to be able to support you and help you if you are having a problem. But yes, so if the quickest response would be to, if you do need to speak to someone with ALGV, is to call our help desk and to speak to the during travel team. They're available 24/7, and like I said, and like Ben said, they have, they're able to contact the airline directly, the hotel directly. So they'll get to you and, be able to help you the quickest. So yeah, I mean, of course, like I said, you can always reach out to me if you have questions and you do need help. But if it's for something very important like that, yes, definitely reach out to the during travel team. Or yeah, and I agree with Ben, and it, I just mentioned it before, and it's something I encountered as an agent. If your clients are at the airport, the best thing for them to do is to talk to the airline representatives directly, because like I said, they're already at the airport. They're right there. They can talk to them, and they can look for them right there and see if they can get them on the next flight.
And you kill them with kindness. You kill them with kindness. The angry people do not get the last seat on the plane.
Yes.
They do not. The nice people that recognize that this is no one's fault are
Right.
they are the ones that
It's
get
true.
the seats on the plane.
It's unfortunate, but it does happen. And yeah, just, trust me, they want to help you and get you on the next flight as well. So yeah.
Yep.
And it happens with hotels too. I mean,
it does.
And that's why you got to educate your clients kind of before they leave. If they show up there and for some reason a 1 out of 100 chance or maybe 2 out of 100 chance that they show up and now it's not the right room category, their first instinct is to pick up the phone and call their travel advisor. But you need to let them know, talk to the desk first, get this straightened out, show them your eDocs, show them that you're confirmed in that room. A large majority of the time it's figured out right there.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
Jenny
if they're coming back to you
sorry,
saying, nope, not going to happen, that's where you kind of turn around and you're like, all right, now I'm going to call, my travel advisor, your clients, and then they're going to contact us and we're going to work with the hotel and get that figured out.
Right.
Oh my gosh. Ben,
like I said, Jenny. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut off. Jenny made a good point. She always says to her clients, you work on your end and I'll work on my side and we'll see who gets there first. Because sometimes that does happen if there's a lot of cancellations and there's some lines at the airport. So they may contact you. Still advise them, get in line, see if you can get to them first. But, then, of course, you as their travel agent are working behind the scenes to see if you can get through first. So as long as, it's a team effort sometimes as well. So that's a good point, Jenny. Thank you.
Yes, and we have another recommendation from Laurence here. The app is also a great tool. Any airline app. Sometimes you get the notifications faster than they say them over the loudspeaker or the screen changes. Yep. So that's a great option. Ben, you couldn't have set us up for our next segment any better. So with your comments about sharing these tips with your clients. So I thank you both so much for taking the time to be here today. Congratulations on your success with the platform, Ben. It's fantastic. And Jennifer, we can't wait to see you at more KHM events. So we thank you for your time today.
Absolutely. If anybody joining is going to be on the Crystal Cruise, I will see you on that. I can't wait.
Excellent. All right. Thank you both.
I'll throw a quick shout out there. If anybody has not taken this program, we do quarterly giveaways on top of the giveaway that was done today. So we have 10 pairs of ENVF seats. We have 3 hotel stays. We do a United Air seat bank. So we raffle that off at the end of every quarter. So we're getting ready to raffle off at the end here from our launch from 10/5 till now. And then also at the end of March, we're going to do one. And then at the end of Q2, Q3, and we're going to keep that going. So if you haven't done it, now's the time to do it.
Now is the time to do it. Thank you both so much for being here. Have a great rest of your week. Stay warm.
Thank you so much. You too.
All right, you guys, our next guest is one of my favorite agents. He's one of the first agents I met at KHM. He reached out to me recently, which I encourage all of you to do, and shared his thoughts on our need to communicate with our clientele, dotting our I's and crossing our T's. So what does that mean? Let's find out. Please welcome Laurence Pinckney. Hello, Laurence.
Hello. How are you, Carolyn?
I'm doing great. How are you? It's so great to see you.
I know. I'm home for a change, huh?
Well, it's interesting you say that because this morning I was working on my calendar and oh my gosh, it's filling up so quickly, at least the first half of the year. But while I fill up my own calendar, I do have to be conscientious of my clients and where they're going and when they're going. And you are really encouraging yourself, your agents within your agency, and of course, all agents across the country to maybe take a step back and look at how we communicate what needs to happen, how our clients should best travel when they're going on their trips. What are your thoughts behind this?
Well, not post-COVID, but since we've been through this COVID process, the ability to service the client correctly has become more important than ever. Now's no time for amateurs. So with KHM, all of our agents are encouraged to do ALG, the trainings that we have offered so that you can stay on top of everything. That's a big benefit. But what I've also found is, especially now in the last 2-3 months, the inquiries are coming in like fireworks. So you have to be very organized, but most importantly, we have to make sure that our clients knows that the environment has changed. So how they travel pre-COVID is totally different than now. So what I've done is try to put together a system. For example, the the booking process, you go over what to expect, right? Make sure you're looking for the connection times if you have to do a connection, especially for international, because you don't want to get stuck out there where, you have an hour and a half and
Mhm.
you can't make it to your connection. But once you make that selection, you make the payment process. Once the travel documents are issued, it is important that you go baby steps, step by step, what is on that document. For example, as he said about the emergency numbers. Yes, you can call me from Israel or you can call me from South Africa, but I might be asleep. And so, but there is a designated number that you can call.
Mhm.
All of that usually is on the travel docs. So going through it piece by piece with them alerts them to what's happened. The baggage requirements. You can't just get on a plane with 65 pounds. You have to make sure. You have to make sure they understand what the prohibitive items are. All of those are on the travel docs. But what I've learned is that you have to take the time to go through it with them so at least they know they're not freaking out.
When you started in this business, did you spend as much time talking on the phone as you do now?
I always talk to the phone.
You did. See, I never did. I was very email oriented. Now, we had lengthy emails, but a lot of times that's just kind of how we communicated and everything was there. In the last 2 years, I spend more time doing pre-departure calls with clients to walk through every single thing, even for those like, here is my suggestion for where you park or car service to this is how long it's going to take you to get through Denver International Airport right now because it's under construction.
Exactly.
We talked about this through email. Don't assume they know. We know because we travel a lot.
Exactly.
We
Right.
can't assume that they know and that they're really understanding what they're reading.
Not only that, well, for me, it's interesting because it depends on what your model is. I usually don't take people just off the internet.
Mhm.
98% of my business is referral.
Mhm.
So they come to me because they want that special attention. Um, the other thing is, if you do it up front, you don't have to worry about it in a crisis mode.
Yes.
And we're dealing with crisis all the time. So the
Mhm.
partnerships that we have with the ALG and the other suppliers means that you don't only have me to rely on, you have the support of the supplier.
Mhm.
But if you don't know that, or if you just say, okay, I got my plane ticket, I got my hotel, right?
Yeah.
Another thing too is, especially with groups, I do a lot of groups. With groups, it's important that they understand when booking a hotel, you might have two people in a room that are not emotionally attached, but they may have to share a bed because the rooms are requested, the bedding's requested, not guaranteed,
Mhm.
right? So you
Right.
got to say that to people so when they come back and going hysterical because they have to share a bed with their brother, I don't know what that's the problem with, but if they do, you can remind them when we talked about it.
Mhm.
The emergency contact situation is important, but also explaining what happens when the emergency contact says, oh, we'll call you back in 2 hours, right? Okay, well, if you can't reach me, let's do something sensible.
Mhm.
Like if you have the next plane is not out till tomorrow, get on the phone, get you a hotel right now.
Right.
We'll deal with that with the insurance tomorrow. But just, those are the
Mhm.
kind of things, if you talk through it with people, at least one of the group, you got it good.
Right.
The Allianz, most of your travel protection companies have an app, right? So why is it an app? And let me just tell you, this is not a commercial for travel protection. Honest to God, this is the truth. The last 3 trips I was on, I had an accident.
Really?
I hit my head on a brick wall, and I was not drunk. It just was the way the place was. And anyway, so I had to get an armor there. In Greece, I had an issue. Just happened.
Yeah.
So because I had an app, I could go on the Allianz app, say, where do I go? And know that I'm not going to a veterinarian hospital. I'm going to a regular hospital. It's true. It tells you everything you need. Boom, boom. So those apps are very important, as well as the airline app. You can always take it off. Currency, another big thing. Usually we say, okay, we'll just go to an ATM, right? Lesson learned. I did that. I didn't order my money in advance. I got to, where was I? I think I was in Barcelona a couple weeks ago. I literally took me an hour to find an ATM machine. Right? So it's all of that preparation that matches. Finally, there is the STEP program. Do you know the STEP program?
Yes, I do. Yep. I have every single client that goes internationally do it. Yep.
That's right. The STEP program and the Sherpa. The Sherpa is important. So I'm talking to travel agents here, right? Mostly, right?
You bet.
Right. You want to do the Sherpa program. Make sure you put that link in there. It's not my responsibility to tell you, with COVID, I want everybody to be vaccinated. Some people don't want to be vaccinated. But what I said is, look, I can't control when you get to a country if they change the rules. And that happened in Greece, where they literally said, if you are not vaccinated, you cannot come inside the restaurant. You can eat outside. But that literally happened between the time we arrived and the
Really?
day. Yes.
Wow.
So going to that Sherpa, you can go in and say, okay, I'm going to Ghana, I'm going to Italy, or whatever. What has changed? So I find that going through that service, it's so rare because we have been in the habit of going online, booking your own stuff, going online, doing this. No, we are very important now. And I think that the kind of clients that I want appreciate that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me ask you this. Is this the sort of documentation that you have written that you send and then kind of walk through with them? Or are you more of we're going to set up a call. I've got a checklist of things that I want to go through with you?
Good question. No, what I do is Bon Voyage goes out, after final payment. So maybe 3 weeks after final payment, you'll get a Bon Voyage, which is a checklist. It's a long checklist. The problem is people do what I do. Oh, it's so long. I'll come back to it.
Right.
So it's up to you to say, okay, did you read that? See, once I say to you, did you read? Yep. So now we're grown. I can't. And then you get the second part is it'll have the Sherpa, it'll have the STEP program, it'll have what do I pack, what do I do, and all that stuff. And then right before you leave, I usually will call the hotel. I don't care where in the world it is. Do you have the reservation? Because sometimes the suppliers mess up, and you don't want that to happen. I tell them, please check in the airline. Check in the airline. That's in two phases. One, when you first book and you get that airline confirmation, go in and pick your seats. If you don't want to sit in the middle seat, pay $39 and get it, right? But at least you had the opportunity. You might not want to do it, but you get to check your name. You get to check everything. And so, those are the kind of things that I think when we put it out to them, two things happen. One, you get incredible referrals. Because they'll say, look, they're a pain in the butt because they keep giving you all this stuff to do, but you're covered.
Right.
Right. And then you can kind of deal with it as it goes along. But those are the things that I think we have. And I think that education is so important.
Yes.
I think I'm much better because the year out, once they lifted all the restrictions, I started traveling. And I spent a lot of money traveling, not because I wanted to just roll around the world, but I had to know what it was like to fly and be the only person on a plane with a mask and everybody else is not. I don't care. I'm going to wear my mask. to see the how the TSAs are working, see how the baggage is working. And in different countries and in different cruise versus land, it's all different.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and I think the overwhelming message that I'm hearing from you is your job doesn't stop with a booking number.
you know,
It has to continue on. That's the value of you, the travel agent. And I know that I have know before you goes. And when I take a personal trip or even a business trip, but I've been in a destination and something changes, I go in and I change that in my document. You know what? Custom and immigrations now looks like this. This is what it was like getting off in Miami versus getting off in Galveston,
oh, you
off the
good.
cruise ship.
Oh,
And
you good. You
I
good.
make those changes and I
Yeah.
try and do it. It's crazy because I'm always so exhausted, but I get on that plane and I immediately do that because I don't want to forget.
That's right.
And we've got some great questions here. I know, Jenny, you had asked, I want to pull this up. When do you suggest scheduling pre-departure calls? How many days out? What do you do, Lawrence? I can tell you what I do, but.
Right. Mine is kind of organic. She's right. You should schedule it. I don't schedule nothing.
Yep.
I pick up the phone and say, okay. But you're right. I really should get a schedule. But I don't do it.
I would say that I intentionally try to set up a call with the person. If it's a fun and sun, you know, what I would consider an easy Mexico or Caribbean, I'm doing a week out, maybe further. If it's a Disney trip, I almost have phases of that. So that's a little bit further out. And if it's a really complicated trip, we're doing a couple weeks out. And the reason for that is I like to go through the itineraries with the client to make sure that there are no gaps and that I've crossed my T's and dotted my I's. When you look at something that lengthy over and over and over again, it's very easy to miss something unintentionally.
Right.
So I like to do that several weeks out with the client so that if there are gaps or they have questions, I have enough time to fix things, add things into that itinerary so it's easier for them to understand. I can't do that with 2 days notice. I have to have enough time.
Right. And you brought up the other thing, excursions. Excursions are selling out. So you know, oh, I want to get it when I get there. Well, okay, good luck. So that's a great time to bring up any excursions that have not been dealt with.
Oh my gosh, we have, I mean, our chat here is on fire today. I love it.
Good.
Trevor, thank you for saying the value that comes with being a KHM agent is through the roof with some fire emojis. I appreciate that. I'm completely on board and agree with you. Sammy's on here. Dee is asking, Lawrence, do you ever call everyone in the group or do you really just work with that group leader and expect them to convey the information?
Great question. Now, who asked that, Dee?
Yeah, she did.
You know, Dee always comes up with the hard one. No, and that's a great question. Talking to travel agents, I find that depending, like I don't talk to children, like your kids or teenagers. I talk to the principal ones. Whoever's responsible for that individual booking, I try to talk to them. So the touch points is when they're making payments, I get to talk to them. That gives us both an opportunity to create a bond. So for my thing, the time that I'm spending doing it, not only do I give them information, but I get to understand, is it a good fit for us to work together in the future? And it goes both ways. So it's an investment in time, but you know, I can't help everybody.
Right.
But I have the best clients in the world. I have none that I can complain about.
I'm going to echo that. And I will tell you before we kind of wrap up for the day, when you talk about calling everyone in the group, Dee, I had my family group this summer cruising for my daughter's graduation. And it's kind of one of those things where I just kind of take everything, the graduate gets to pick the trip and then I kind of work my magic and the adults just pay. Well, I get this phone call one day from my niece. She's in the car with my brother-in-law and she says to me, "Hey, where are we going on our trip?" She said, "Everyone at the tournament was asking where we were going and we realized we have no idea." They knew we were cruising, but they had no idea where or like where we were going out of, what ports we were hitting, what ship we were on. And I thought, now how did this happen? So, it was just very, very funny to me that clearly I needed to do a better job of communicating the what and the who and the how to every member of the family. And it wasn't just them, it was every single other member of the family that had no idea. They just knew what day they needed to get on the airplane. And it was
that's
very
good
funny.
too.
You don't want that with your regular clients, but my
No.
family it was pretty hilarious.
That's because they want to go for the experience.
Yeah.
I've been saying this a lot, and it's kind of morbid, but I find that in the last 3-4 years, there has been so much death and sickness, and it makes you really reevaluate the importance of memories over things. And one lady said to me, "Oh, well, I want to take my mother for her 80th birthday, but maybe if we need a little more money, I'll wait a year." And I said, Donna and them that know me will tell you, I'm not exactly the most smooth person when it comes. But I was like, no, I think you might want to do that now, right? Because you don't want to postpone it for a little bit of money and then something happens to somebody.
Yep.
Just get that memory in. You'll have that for a lifetime.
Yep. Laurence, I can't wait to see you on Crystal in just
I know we're going to have so much fun.
It's going to be so fun. I hope you bring that shirt because I'm really loving it.
You like this shirt? I got this shirt in South Africa.
I love it. And the cuffs. Oh my gosh. My uncle would be all over that. He loves color.
If I don't lose some weight, I might have to bring it and give it to you for him to wear.
Oh my goodness. So thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in a couple weeks.
See you soon. Thank you.
Bye, you guys. Our goal for 2023 was not to go 50 minutes, but when the topic is that good and the guest is that good and the questions are great, we're going to keep going until we don't need to anymore. So I thank you all for hanging in there with us today. Thank you to ALGV for their continued sponsorship. And next week, I am excited to welcome Gary Murphy from AMA Waterways. We are talking the Mekong River because we are celebrating the Lunar New Year. So we're going to talk about that experience and the food surrounding it and the culture in our Expanding the Lens segment. So thank you all for being here today. We will see you next week. Take care.